Yeah, hey, Coach. Just early thoughts on the Mustangs. What have you seen from them so far in tape, film, etc.?
Yeah, really explosive on offense, fast tempo. And they got two quarterbacks that can play. You got to be really ready for how fast they're as fast as tempo wise as you'll see in the country. Um, and they play really well with the lead. They get on top, and they've obviously been successful. So we got to be ready for their tempo, and obviously first and second downs really important on the defensive side of the ball. Um, and then offensively, go against a really good defense that has done a nice job against the run. They're difficult to run against, and they got some good secondary players.
Thank you, Ben. Troy?
Yeah, Coach. What's the availability picture as of right now for the secondary for the defensive backs at this point?
Who do you got? Ask me, and I'll give you information.
Porter.
Porter's unavailable.
Okay. Let's see. Aaron Morris.
Questionable.
Jay Green.
Jay Green's unavailable.
Okay. Zeron Manley.
We'll see. That's a
Okay.
question as well.
Okay.
All right, back to Ben. Nope. Or John.
Coach, could you compare the SMU quarterback, Kevin Jennings, to some of the recent quarterbacks that we've seen?
Yeah, I mean, he's really sparked their offense. He's dynamic. It really plays into his skill set really well. He seems to operate really well in a fast tempo offense, dynamic. Um, he just seems like he's really in a rhythm.
Thank you, John. Dylan?
Yeah, coach, you guys have been, about 50%. You guys have been going for it on fourth down a lot this year, and you guys have been successful about 50% of the time. Analytically, kind of where do you guys hope to be at, numbers wise in terms of percentage of being able to convert on fourth down?
Yeah, I mean 50% on third down and fourth down is pretty good. A lot of those depends on the situation. We've had analytics wise, we've had a bunch of ones where they told us to go for it on fourth down and didn't feel it was the right move. So we definitely use it as a tool. We'll be aggressive on fourth down for sure. And obviously you want to get them all. But you also got to be smart about where you do on the field and what part of the game it is, and then also your opponent. How aggressive you're going to have to be in order to give yourself a chance to win. So all those things change the flow of the game. Yeah, so it's kind of how we look at it. We definitely use analytics as a tool, but we don't follow it necessarily to the T.
Thank you.
Steve?
Yeah, Troy, I know the beginning of this season, your whole point was we are a better team than we were last year, and we will get better as the season progresses. And I think to the untrained or maybe semi-trained eye, through late in the third quarter of the Clemson game, you really could see that Stanford was an improved team and had improved to that point. From the semi-untrained eye, it doesn't look as if you've made improvement over the last 9 quarters, say. Is that a fair assessment, or do you see things that
Yeah, what'd you say? I lost the last part of it. I didn't follow you.
is that a fair assessment of that you haven't progressed the last 9 quarters, or do you see things in terms of your progression that the untrained eye doesn't?
Yeah. Well, I mean, what you look at who we're playing. So obviously, Syracuse, a very good football team. Then we played Clemson. We were in that game. Virginia Tech. We didn't have a lot of big plays. We did have some injuries. I think they're a really good team. And then obviously this last week, Notre Dame's probably the best defense we've seen. Yeah, I mean, it's when you're playing those type of opponents, you're going to be challenged, and obviously, we have some injuries and some depth issues that happen in a physical season where you're losing guys in the secondary and guy up front and a quarterback out for a game. So as the seasons went on, we've lost players. So it's going to be we're going to be a different team. Now, our goal as a program is to get more depth because even though we would have more depth this year, we're pretty beat up. You know, I mean, it seems like we've had 2 or 3 guys that we lose each week. So that's going to affect your performance. And there's a number of different residuals that take place when you lose a safety and you have to move a nickel, a corner to nickel, and then play a young corner, or so on and so forth. So I don't know. We have 14 guys that are probably injured, you know. So the progress when you don't have your full allotment of players, and in this day and age in college football, you got to be able to acquire a lot of depth. Obviously, you know, a lot of teams do that through the transfer portal. The team we're playing this week is heavy in the transfer portal. We're not able to do that. So we end up having to use a lot of young players when our starters go down, as opposed to, you know, having 20 guys from the transfer portal. So it's a little different situation for us.
Ben?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, just coach on the analytic part. Just how exactly do you utilize that tool? Like,
Yeah, Yeah, the way it works is I'll have somebody on the sidelines and they will just tell me the number. So the book takes into account, you know, your opponent, your success, what you've done, and all those things. Obviously, not up until the game, right? Doesn't take into account weather or any of those things, but score and how you've done in certain situations and how your opponent's done. And so what I'll have somebody just comes over and says the number is 3 or the number is 4. And what that means is on 4th down, the book is telling you that you should go for it if it's 4th and let's say the number was 3 or less. Now, sometimes, you know, I'd look at the situation and be like, yeah, I agree with that. There's been times in the situation where it tells you to go for it on 4th and 9. And, you know, you're just like, I don't know, this doesn't feel like the right time, you know. And the analytics is playing to win the game, you know. So it's sometimes the percentages are really tight and really close, you know. It's just like they'll have a heavy situation where they say highly recommend, and then a situation where they're not too sure. Obviously we're always playing to win, but also you have to, you know, discern what the situation is in terms of what value you're going to get out of it, as opposed to the risks that are associated. So we do lean heavy on analytics. It's a great tool, but haven't followed it necessarily every single time. I've probably not gone forward on 4th down quite a few times when analytics has told us that maybe we should. But the percentages are sometimes, you know, like a 2% chance more of winning if you go for it on 4th down. It's not like it's heavy. Does that make sense?
Totally. Thank you. That answers my question. Thank you.
Yeah.
Diego?
Coach, do you have any updates on the availability of Elijah Brown and how he's progressing back from his injury?
Yeah. He's, you know, he is progressed much more rapidly than I initially kind of was told or thought. And so really it's just a matter of, for him, is when he feels comfortable and ready to roll. So I would say it's way ahead of schedule. And now, will that be this week? I don't know if that's possible. I guess it's possible. I don't know that will happen, but he's definitely getting a lot quicker than we thought he would be ready.
Troy?
Yeah, coach, some ups, some downs, and some injuries on the offensive line. How would you assess how things have gone up front for Stanford to this point, halfway through?
Yeah, but you know, done some good things at times. You know, we've ran the ball well at times, so I feel pretty good about their progress. Obviously, we had, you know, Levi being out had an effect where we had to kind of move guys around a little bit. But I thought they've done a good job. They've had incredible, challenging defensive lines these last 3 weeks, especially, and I think they've held up pretty good. Obviously, you know, to get to the level we want them to be at, we got to continue to play better. But if you're looking at comparison in terms of last season and this season, it's not even close. We're so much better up front than we were last year.
Troy?
Coach, at various times this year, the pass game, I think, to me, uneven would be a word I would use. There've been some moments, I think, of the 4th and 9 and whatnot, and last week was tough, and I concur that Notre Dame defense was exceptional. Was there more there, or like I guess the broader question is kind of where do you see the pass game right now? How much on the quarterback, how much on receivers, and I know you're trying to put all that together.
Yeah, not good enough, and it's obviously everybody likes to they first look at the quarterback, but it's a full deal, and on me as well. I gotta do a better job of putting our guys in a situation to be successful. All starts with me, and then protection, and be able to get enough guys out of routes to affect the defense with not exposing our quarterback to get hit. And take too many hits that has a residual effect throughout not only the game, the season, and then being able to win on the outside. So all those things play a part. But I would say, the passing game is not nearly at the standard that I want us to be at. I'm hopeful that will improve, but we're going to compete against some of these really good teams. We're going to have to be much better in the pass game.
Thank you. Shreyas?
Is Brandon Nicholson going to play more?
Yeah, Brandon and Cam Richardson, those guys, all hands on deck. We got some young guys that are gonna have to play. So, obviously you like for your younger players to get a little bit more time to be seasoned. But for us, like I was saying, if you're not going to be able to dive into the transfer portal, young guys are going to have to come in and play, especially when you start having injuries or guys being out for a little bit. You're going to have to play young players, and that's part of what we use in recruiting is you're going to have an opportunity to play right away. Now, a lot of teams will bring in older guys, which is a huge advantage, be able to bring experienced guys in that have played a lot of football. That's just not kind of how we're going to be built.
Back to Diego.
Yeah, Coach, you guys are going to be playing a SMU team for the first time in what's going to become a yearly series. Does that add any kind of emotion or weight to the game? Anything new in what could possibly become a rivalry?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you're gonna play them every year, just like Cal. So I think it's important that you're in a great position to be successful. They've done a really good job building their program in terms of supporting it and transfer portal and all that stuff. They have been all in, and you can see the results. They're competing at a really high level in their first year in the ACC. So they're a challenging team, really well coached, and it'll be a great challenge for us, every year.
Ben?
Yeah, just any update on the availability of Cedric Irvin. What's his status? And then also just in general, how are you kind of assessing the running back room at this point?
Yeah. Cedric is unavailable this week, but we're hopeful to get him back soon. But I think our running backs our young running backs, obviously not having Micah last week kind of hurt us a little bit, but some other guys stepped up. But I feel good about our young running backs. They're improving rapidly. What will happen? That will happen when you play young, and your first few games are going to go really fast, and in terms of your vision and how you see it. And then as you become more comfortable, things start to slow down. So you're seeing that with, Micah and then Chris, and then, we're still hopeful to get Cole Tab back at some point. But I like our group. You wish they're a little bit more seasoned, but they're getting that now.
Steve?
Yeah, just a quick follow-up there, Troy. You mentioned Mikel Ford. Will he be available Saturday?
We'll see. That's a day-to-day deal. We haven't practiced yet this week, so we'll see how he does. I'm hopeful, but until it gets, we'll probably know that later in the week.
Thank you, sir.
John?
Coach, not asking you to tip your hand with specific names, but is the specter of I don't know, position, that defensive backfield sounds like it's challenged. And would you have to consider moving a player from another,
Yeah, I
a
mean,
receiver to a
question.
defensive?
Yeah, and part of it is who's going to get healthy and be able to play. And then if you take from other positions, obviously that's going to affect the other position, and then the guy's not very experienced. But I would say everything for sure is on the table in terms of being able to put the best guys on the field. We do like our young guys, so you'll obviously want to give them an opportunity to show what they can do.